Super League spotlight shining so bright. Interviews and news, come join the hype.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Super League Spotlight. We've been away for a few weeks, but we are back with a bang to cover all the action over the past couple of weeks. And as we get to the business end of the season, Rona,
It definitely is, definitely.
yeah, there's some teams with only 3 games left to play, and obviously we're in April now. We've kind of the regular season finishes in April, so we are really nearing the end of the season. I still feel like we're in the early days of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been quite stop-start, hasn't it? So I guess you feel like you're just getting into maybe the swing of things now with like consecutive games running. So
Yeah,
there we
but how are you?
go.
How's life?
Fine, apart from getting done dirty by you this morning. I opened my phone to be like, what have I done? I was like,
I
James.
thought it was highly believable. Obviously a nice April Fool's, but I thought I thought Chantel Handy should be on the phone right now.
She was like on the phone going, what on earth? Why would I even look that low? We've got under 12s that could run faster than you, whose knees both work.
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't think I caught anyone out, but there we go. It's
No.
worth a try.
Worth a try. Next year. There's always next year, Mark.
I've done a few April Fools as we've gone through. Like one year I did Newcastle changing into red and white strips. So obviously the Sunderland link there. That got a few people caught out. I can't remember what else I've done, but no, it's always worth a try. Did you see
Well
London?
done. Pardon?
Did you see London's this morning?
Yeah, but see for London, I feel like that
I
could be a
mean,
thing on the Thames. Because remember
I,
they did do the floating court. I wonder if that's where they sort of pulled the idea from.
I would be happy with that. It looks like getting a boat to the game. Like that would be great. That
Could you imagine going for some popcorn? It happened like, oh, it's on the bank. You have to like
little
get your
speedboat.
uh
Eh, Anyway, let's get cracking because we've got plenty to talk about. Um, we'll kind of concentrate on the weekend just gone. But we'll see where we go in terms of looking at where teams are as we kind of make that push to the playoffs, obviously the title and things like that. But lots of close games this weekend.
yeah, lots of I was like, oh, will they, won't they? They didn't, but they almost did.
It was worth a tweet at the time.
It's worth a tweet. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Oakland's were still winning, but I was like, Cardiff are the dark horses, and I think we've said it a couple of times now. They have snuck up on us. I'm sure to a lot of people they haven't snuck up on them, but a couple of signings coming in midway and then to the latter part of the season have really made that impact, and it's great to see them having success. It keeps the league fresh. It keeps it exciting when everybody's out there capable of taking games off each other.
Yeah, they're still in ninth, but Durham seem a bit free fall at the minute.
hmm
So they're really making that push to the playoffs. Long gone is the chat of getting to 50 points a game.
I know that's the thing, and I think that's what I really like seeing the growth in a team, and it's like don't ever write anyone off. I still think London could have a win in them. You can see they've been building. A heavy defeat at the weekend. If you're looking at the positives, still smaller. And they had a really positive second quarter. They're missing two key players. It depends, I suppose, when they can get looped back into rotations injury wise, but I think they might be quite long term injuries. So hopefully we do see them though before the end of the season.
Let's go then. Manchester against Leicester.
hmm
74-57. That Danny Williams again with 20 more points. More Fitzpatrick back from injury now, a few weeks in, with 18 points as well. So big numbers again from the Manchester players.
It was, and I think, Leicester, another team where you just don't know quite who's going to turn up. Manchester coming in off the back of, a pretty substantial defeat against the Gladiators the previous week. So how would they bounce back from that? And bounce back they did. And I do think Danny Williams, one of the best players in the league, consistently gets it done for her team. Seems to be that whether the team's doing really well or whether they're struggling, she's still putting up numbers. And I think that shows a player who's very capable. And I think, like you say, getting Fitzpatrick back in at this point of the season could be really crucial for them down the straight.
Yeah, and they're traveling up north to Durham on Saturday, so they will probably be expecting to get the win there as well. Um, and they currently sit they're one of the teams with only 3 games left to play.
Hmm.
Currently sit in fourth place, same wins as Newcastle, but played a couple more games.
Hmm.
So they'll be wanting to keep that push up as high as possible, really.
Yeah, looking for that home court advantage, aren't you?
Hmm. Yeah, because the league's kind of split into two. Again, it normally does, but we've got the top five, and then Essex in six kind of start that mini league at the bottom.
Hmm.
Um, so it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, that there's 5 teams trying to get the 4 home playoff spots.
Indeed. And obviously Caledonia's still to Leicester and Essex, fifth v seven, fifth v six.
Hmm.
Um yes, I think a few tasty encounters.
Just a shout out to Katie Yanishevska again for
Hmm.
Leicester. 20 points on the night, 13 points per game so far this season. Kind of really making herself at home, kind of in that starting role now.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it, you had two players playing 40 minutes for them, one just under 40 minutes,
Mhm.
so they were having to put in a shift there. And sometimes that can be the difference, can't it, when Manchester maybe able to rotate through a little bit more. But George Anderson obviously getting back in as well for Manchester, so that would be great if they've got her going down the stretch as well.
Yeah, the people say it all the time. It's important to peak at the right time, isn't it?
Most definitely.
Right, let's go on to the game we were just mentioning earlier with your tweet. Cardiff against Oaklands. They teased us. They thought they would probably get the shock of the season, but it wasn't to be. 73-81. Oakland's got it done.
They did, and very interesting, when you look at the breakdown, Cardiff taking it 21-11 in the opening quarter, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, opening quarters don't necessarily define a game, but I think that second quarter where Oakland's managed to put up 25 to their 8, that really did kind of
Hmm.
put a stamp on it, because then it kind of the game kind of just played out from there. I think it was +1 to Wolves in the second half. So trying to come back from that deficit, but Archer's doing well. They're doing well down there. Stream commentators, court set up. It's looking good, and the players are producing. So long may it continue.
Absolutely. And just a word for Clark. What as we said, a signing mid-season, but like she's making a massive impact on that team and the league as a whole.
28, 8, and 1, I think. 4 fouls, which is unfortunate, having to manage that a wee bit more. But yeah, good. And I think actually the other players are playing well around these others, which will make it easier when you've got somebody else who can go out and do some solid scoring for you. It's going to stretch the defense a little bit more, make other teams have to think. But, you know, Oakland's are a winning team, and they
Yeah.
got the win. They had, I would say, like the attitude to know they could win and grind it out. And sometimes that's what you just have to do. You just have to win. It doesn't matter if it's by one or if it's by 100.
Yeah. And we'll come on to their second game of the weekend, but obviously they will have gone into that game on Saturday knowing
Hmm.
that their weekend was a double-header weekend as well. So I don't know how much that would have a part to play in.
I feel like it did, because obviously the starting five looked a bit different
Hmm.
with Rafferty and Saracen coming in. And they're usually stalwarts off the bench, so they'd been pushed up into starting five.
Yeah.
And that's maybe with a view to what was going on. Maybe it was how training practice had been. Maybe it was too injured. Who knows? But I do think there was a little bit of a shuffle there in the starters.
And I guess when we're coming into the last month of the season, playoffs just around the corner, keeping everyone fresh and fit is the name of the game.
I think that's one thing from speaking to, I think I've now spoken to almost every coach in the league, pre-game or whatever, doing records. And that's what just the key theme is, like keeping girls healthy, keeping them
Mhm.
injury free, because there's so many. We've seen it with London recently, Nottingham recently, when you get keeper, I mean, it's happened at Gladiators, it's happened everywhere,
Yeah.
when players are going down injured. How do you manage that? How well have you built the squad? How well can everybody else step in? Um, so yeah, it's something league wide, and it's just how do you manage it the best.
Yeah. Right then, Newcastle travel to Essex, 72-67. They got another win, their 11th of the season. Jada Gwynn again impressing for Newcastle, but Essex made a huge game of that one.
They did, and Essex were firing on all cylinders, especially that first half. They were knocking down threes, and I think when the threes dried up a bit, that's when they got a little bit tighter.
Mhm.
Eagles, apologies. really stepped up their defensive intensity, I think, and that kind of threw Leicester a bit. It, dearie me, that threw Rebels a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Eagles, they're sitting where they are in the league. They know how to win. They've won tight and tough games. They took down Oakland's in the championship, that nobody else has done. So I think again they have and they know how to win. Essex maybe just a little bit tight, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, as you say, Newcastle sitting third in the league. 11 wins, 4 losses, just 1 win behind Sheffield. And they host Cardiff, where, again, home form has been very impressive by the Eagles. As you say,
Mm.
Auckland's Caledonia recently. So they'll be hoping to get that win on Saturday to push them up towards possibly second in the league.
Mm. And again, that was a third versus sixth, in the championship standings. So
Hmm.
you would expect Eagles to win, but credit to Rebels who made it tough, and they did look like they were potentially going to get the win at one point.
Right, let's move on to Sunday, a game you were commentating on again,
Hmm
92-36. Caledonia, comfortable in the end, as you say, London missing a few players. But talk us through Caledonia's performance in this one.
I think, they've performed well. Again, it came from their defense. Ree Harris, I just think this could be so dominant. And I said it on comms, and I think she is somebody who the offense generates the defense. Usually your defense generates your offense. But I find, if she backs down or whatever, she gets a really nice bucket, especially if it's a tough bucket, she then she spins and she's just on it from that sort of full court and catches a lot of people out.
Mhm.
I think Caledonia finished with like 10 blocks. And London had some nice spicy blocks as well. I felt it was like a really entertaining game. Um, London have got far more to give. And I mean, some of the athleticism in the players, it's always different. And that's why I'm always like, please get down and see a game. Because seeing a game live is totally different to when you're sitting at home. And
Yeah.
just seeing how quickly some of them move, they push the ball, they get up and down, the jumping height of them. But yeah, Gladiators, they rotated round really well. Everybody contributed, they were hitting shots coming off the bench. Rested Cat Tudor, probably most of it took a little tweak. I think she finished on about 5 minutes or something.
Mhm.
And obviously Hannah Robb still wasn't back in. And over in London, obviously missing Kayan and a couple of others. So Kyan, apologies. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. I do think London could still find a win. I think they've still got a couple of teams that they could maybe earmark to go out and try and get the win there. But I think since Dan Petts has come in, you can see they're sort of playing some good basketball when they can get it going. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So just London have got Essex at home,
hmm
Cardiff away, Auckland's at home, Sheffield at home, and then Nottingham away to finish off the season.
Yeah, a couple of rough rides in there, but at the same time, sometimes going into some of those games, there's less expectations and you can perform better.
Yeah.
I always think it's easier to be the underdog than it is to be the one that's flying high.
Right, let's move on then to a top of the table clash. Sheffield ran Auckland's close, but they finished the weekend with the 2 wins. 75-72. Shanice Beckford Norton, 28 points.
Mm.
But again, they found a way to win, and that's what champions do. They find a way, no matter what the game's like, no matter what's happening, they just manage to get over the line.
They did, and fair play to them. It was like real, like, Auckland's took the first quarter 24-19, Sheffield 21-12, Auckland's 29-16, Sheffield 16-10, so quite a very seesaw game. Clearly like a game of runs. Hatter's obviously been away. Was that the sort of marginal gains that Oakland's had, although they'd played the day before, but had they actually sorted some stuff out, ironed some things out? That was a potential championship decider.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's still games to be played, but Hatters were the ones really snapping at Oakland's heels, and it would have, been interesting to see how it played out the rest of the season if Hatters had taken the win there. So, but again, great that we're just on the cusp of April and we're still not like, well, so and so has won.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's always nice. Obviously, we've had a couple of years where London probably at this stage had the league sewn up, but yeah, I'd be surprised if Auckland's didn't get the win from this position. But yeah, as you say, it's nice to not have it fully done and dusted yet.
Hmm. I'd agree.
Um, right. Nottingham against Durham, 89-64. That Durham won the second half, but the damage was done again, like it was earlier in the Cardiff game. In that
Hmm.
second quarter, 29-4 in favour of Nottingham.
Yeah, rough day out. I think it's worth noting that Durham as well, quite a different team to, they're missing quite a few players and key players for them. I
Yeah.
think Nottingham have had to ride that, but they've been able to bring back in a couple of players as well, which has helped since, they were last, for example, up playing Gladiators and they were really tight at that point. So I guess that just shows, was it better maybe playing a higher up team that you had slightly less players, but then you come and you can maybe take a game off someone, if they could go on a run now, Nottingham, and push
Yeah.
into those playoffs. So I guess so much of it comes down to luck and chance when players get injured, you know. Um, but yeah, credit to Wildcats getting out there. It's been a while since they won a game,
Mhm.
and to be able to go out there and show that they're still able to do that. Durham put up a good fight, but like you said, second quarter sort of killed them,
Yeah.
and that's hard to come back from.
Absolutely. When you 25-point gap in that second quarter, it's tough to make even a dent in that in the second half. I think since that London game, Durham beat London away last month, I think it was, or probably last month again now. But Harry Otwell Soulsby's a key piece that's just been missing. So um, I think that's a huge loss for them. And as I said before, I think they're in a bit of free fall at the minute. Obviously, they're playing Manchester on Saturday. I can't see them getting a win there. And Cardiff are coming up behind them to steal that last spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Lee will have maybe not the injuries, but he'll have known, that Harry might not be about, and just he'll be known when to peak the team and when to sort of know, how to manage them best and just
Mhm.
try and get the best out of them. Because obviously we look at game day so much, but actually you've got to think about what's at practice. So, if you're not able to run fives, are they able to bring other players? But are the players challenging the players out there? I'm sure they are. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess there's so much more that goes on behind that. And we just see the players who don't play on the day. We don't know who's carrying the niggles or who's on watch and that sort of thing. Travel. We'll be coming up to another round of uni exams soon as well, won't we? They usually have a
Yeah,
reading
quite
week around about
possibly
Easter.
April.
So, there's going to be more stresses on the student athletes that are in the league. I know they're not the only team. You've got Rebels who've got strong affiliations and Riders have got strong affiliations with universities. So, there's going to be other things for coaches to be managing there. Yeah, we just always see that snippet, don't we? We see the
Yeah.
highlight, which is the game, but we don't see how the bodies are holding up the week before, mentally how they're holding up, what's going on in personal lives. So yeah, great win for Wildcats. Tough on Durham. But I feel Durham are a gritty team, and I think they'll try to dig in and grind out another couple of wins to put themselves into playoff contention or keep themselves in playoff contention.
Currently sitting eighth, one win behind Leicester, one win ahead of Cardiff. It is quite tight down there. Essex was 7 wins, Leicester was 7 wins, Durham was six, Cardiff was five. So it is quite tight and quite interesting as we are now in April.
Yeah, I
But
think it's good. It's exciting, isn't it? Because that itself adds an element of excitement to it, and players will be focused on their own game. But when each game is important, especially because they only play each other twice, you really can't afford a big slip up. You don't get four attempts at each other, like in the men's league, for example, where dropping games is a bit more manageable.
Mhm. That's true. Just while I remember, we mentioned Essex before. They won the Bucks University competition since we
Yes.
last spoke, and a lot of their university rosters similar to the SLBW team as well. So congratulations to them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have
Awesome
a look
work.
at the weekend ahead. Durham against Manchester. I know we've talked about some of these, but Durham against Manchester, Leicester against Caledonia, London, Essex, Newcastle against Cardiff, all on the Saturday. and
Yep,
only, well, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock and half 7 for the last three. So a little bit of crossover there.
it's fine. It's quadruple screen,
Yeah.
split it into quarters. But yeah, I think Caledonia will be out to avenge that defeat that Leicester gave them pre-Christmas. My brain's frazzled today. But so that'll be interesting. I think they'll go out and want to make a statement there. Durham, Manchester. What have Durham got to lose?
Yep.
Manchester coming in off the back for win. Eagles, Archers. Never going to count out the Archers. Although I know what you're saying, Eagles are on a good run of form. They're doing very well at home. But two female coaches going head to head. There's more and more of that as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, I think that should be a good game to watch.
Yeah, interesting weekend. I think there's a lot of like revenge talk, as you say. Leicester took Caledonia before Christmas. They'll want to get back. Manchester absolutely dominated Durham just before Christmas. I think it was like a 60-point game. So Durham will probably have that in the back of their minds to think, right, we need to make sure we are more competitive.
Hmm
Um, as you said, London Newcastle Cardiff game is very interesting. I think they'll put up a good battle, Cardiff.
hmm
It'll be an interesting game, especially the form both teams are in, really.
And potentially Cardiff. I've not thought too much about it. Cardiff match up quite well against Wolves, and Newcastle matched up well against Wolves. So, similar-ish
Hmm.
threads through both teams that make them quite, because sometimes you can see where teams are loaded in the front court, back court, and that's where they're able to overcome other teams. But if these three are sort of working each other out and they match up player-wise quite well, I think that's always what makes it quite entertaining.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I was hoping? We'll have a little 2 week break. I was hoping that maybe would be a bit clearer with league licenses for the men's league and how that would affect us and the SLBW, but there's like legal action and all sorts going on now, so I think we're still none the wiser.
I'm just like,
Yeah, come back when we know more.
come back once they've told us what's happening, and I will be like, oh, that's what's happened.
But yeah, I can't believe we're talking about the league ending next month and the big final at the O2 in May and stuff like that. As I said earlier, I feel like we're in the early stages of the season.
I think March went so fast.
Hmm.
That's probably why April's quite a long month. I was just looking at it now. I was like, oh, when you see it in your calendar, it's a long looking month compared to March.
Not as bad as January.
Oh, well, January's 3 years, so I mean, you can't beat that.
But no, excited to see where this weekend takes us, and it's been a pleasure chatting to you as always, Rona. Make sure you catch us all on the next one. Subscribe so you're the first to find out when we post the latest episodes. And yeah, thank you for joining us.
Super League spotlight shining so bright. Interviews and news, come join the hype.